My name is Sydney Parker. He turned our home into a trap. Thought I wouldn't find out. But the day I pressed play in court, he finally understood what it feels like to be watched. That's just our door cam, he lied. But my lawyer recognized every hidden mic before I said a word. Before we begin, this is a true story. Names have been changed, but the betrayal, surveillance, and revenge are all real. If you're new here, hit subscribe because this story of digital abuse and technological justice will leave you speechless. I should have known something was wrong when Mark started upgrading our smart home system. My husband, the brilliant software engineer, always had a new gadget to install, a new camera to mount, a new reason why our house needed more security. It's for your safety, he'd say, kissing my forehead while mounting yet another tiny camera. You can never be too careful these days. The first red flag came during a video call with my sister, Kate. I was in our bedroom, venting about a work issue, when Mark texted me, "Everything okay? You seem stressed." I hadn't told him about my day yet. Hadn't seen him since morning. But somehow, he knew. Our 5-year marriage had always been tinged with his protective streak. He insisted on tracking apps when I traveled, security cameras at every entrance, motion sensors in every room. I thought it was sweet, at first. A tech genius wanting to keep his wife safe in an increasingly dangerous world. Then came the gifts: smart mirrors, digital picture frames, even a high-tech shower head with built-in speakers. Each one requiring its own app, its own setup, its own permissions. Each one, I would later learn, with its own hidden camera. The discovery happened by accident. I was cleaning our home office while Mark was at a conference in Seattle. His laptop was open, synchronizing files. A notification popped up, upload complete, SYD_shower_0422. My heart stopped. SYD, my nickname. The file name format looked familiar, like the security footage Mark archived. But this wasn't from our regular cameras. With trembling hands, I clicked the folder. Hundreds of files, all named with my initials, dates, locations in our house. Bedroom. Bathroom. Shower. Private moments I thought were mine alone. I almost threw up. But years of working in corporate litigation had taught me something crucial: never let them know you know. Not until you have everything you need. Instead of confronting Mark, I started my own investigation. First, I photographed everything in his office, careful not to disturb a single cable. Then I called the one person I knew could help. "Jessica? I need your expertise." Off the books. Jessica Chin was more than my best friend. She was a cybersecurity expert who'd helped me with cases before. Within hours, she was at my house, equipment disguised as takeout bags. "Holy shit, Sid," she whispered, her scanner detecting signals throughout the house. "This isn't just surveillance. He's streaming it." My world tilted sideways. Streaming? Where? She showed me her tablet. Hidden networks, encrypted connections, data streams leading to servers overseas. My private moments weren't just being recorded, they were being sold. "There's a whole market for this," Jessica explained, her voice tight with anger. "Private channels, exclusive content, real-time feeds. Some of these subscribers are paying thousands." I sat on our designer couch, probably hiding another camera, feeling naked despite being fully clothed. How long? Based on these logs? At least 2 years. 2 years. 2 years of violated privacy, betrayed trust, marketed intimacy. 2 years of "I love you" from a man who saw me as content to be monetized. But I didn't cry. Didn't scream. Didn't give the cameras any show of distress. Instead, I smiled, knowing Mark would see it later and think everything was fine. "Show me everything," I told Jessica. "Every camera, every feed, every subscriber. And then show me how to turn this against him." We spent the next week documenting everything while Mark was away: hidden cameras and light fixtures, smoke detectors, picture frames, microphones and power outlets, air vents, bedside lamps, streaming setup disguised as home security servers, subscriber lists, payment records, viewing statistics. Each discovery made me sicker, but also more determined. Mark had built a digital cage around me, but he'd forgotten something crucial: I wasn't just his victim. I was a litigation specialist who'd spent years building cases against powerful men who thought they were untouchable. I contacted Diana Martinez, the best digital crimes prosecutor in the state. In her corner office overlooking downtown, I laid out everything we'd found. "This isn't just invasion of privacy," she said, reviewing our evidence. "We're looking at federal crimes, international trafficking laws, potential RICO charges. But we need to be smart about this. One wrong move and he could destroy everything." She was right. Mark was too tech-savvy to leave obvious trails. We needed to be careful, methodical, perfect in our execution. I went home that night and played my role. Made dinner, kissed my husband, smiled for his cameras. All while wearing the signal-blocking necklace Jessica had given me, preventing any new recordings from uploading. Mark noticed nothing amiss, too confident in his systems to imagine they'd been discovered. He sat across from me at dinner, asking about my day, playing the devoted husband while his servers hummed in the background, streaming my life to paying strangers. "Everything okay?" he asked, noticing my quietness. "You seem distracted." I smiled, thinking of the evidence building against him. "Just tired, honey. Long day at work." That night, as he slept, I began setting up our own surveillance. Jessica had taught me how to piggyback on Mark's systems, creating backups he couldn't detect or delete. Every file he uploaded, every message he sent, every subscriber he billed, all of it now flowed to secure servers under Diana's control. But we needed more than just digital evidence. We needed to prove intent, to show he knew exactly what he was doing. And for that, we needed him to talk. The opportunity came sooner than expected. Mark's company was hosting a tech conference, and he wanted me to attend. "Show off my beautiful wife to the industry," he said. Perfect. Because what Mark didn't know was that his entire empire was about to crumble, one livestream at a time. The tech conference would be our perfect stage. Mark had invited his entire network, industry leaders, software developers, cybersecurity experts. All the people he wanted to impress, gathered in one place. I spent the week preparing, playing the perfect wife while setting our trap. Every evening, I'd listen to him brag about his latest security innovations, knowing each word was being recorded, archived, timestamped for future use. Jessica worked behind the scenes, mapping his entire network. She discovered something interesting: Mark wasn't working alone. He had partners, other tech executives running similar operations, sharing content, protecting each other's secrets. "It's like a digital trafficking ring," Jessica explained during one of our secure meetings at a cafe across town. "They all cover for each other, share resources, warn each other about investigations." The depth of his betrayal made me sick, but I couldn't show it. Not yet. Every morning I'd get dressed in front of his hidden cameras, knowing strange men were watching, paying for glimpses of my private moments. Every night I'd lie next to the man who sold my trust, pretending I didn't know he was worse than a stranger. Diana's team worked quietly, building an airtight case. They found his offshore accounts, traced the money, identified key players. But the biggest discovery came from Mark's own arrogance. He kept logs of everything: viewer comments, special requests, private messages discussing his content. Each file carefully encrypted, but not carefully enough. Jessica found his password pattern, hidden in plain sight: our wedding date, followed by showtime. The irony made me laugh. He'd used our marriage as the key to betray it. The night before the conference, Mark was particularly affectionate. "You're going to love tomorrow," he said, kissing my neck. "I have a big surprise planned." I forced myself to smile, knowing his cameras were watching. Can't wait. What he didn't know was that we had our own surprise ready. One that would make his live streams look amateur in comparison. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth, it's letting them broadcast their own destruction. The tech conference gleamed with artificial perfection. Silicon Valley's finest gathered at the Marriott Grand, everyone wearing their success like designer armor. Mark kept his hand on my lower back, guiding me through crowds of admirers, introducing me as my beautiful wife, the lawyer. If he noticed my dress had extra padding to hide Jessica's surveillance equipment, he didn't show it. His confidence was absolute. Why wouldn't it be? He'd been getting away with it for years. "Ready for my keynote?" he whispered, straightening his tie in a mirror I knew concealed one of his cameras. "I'm announcing something big." I squeezed his hand, playing my part. "You'll be amazing." The ballroom filled with tech industry elite, venture capitalists, media. Mark took the stage like a digital messiah, ready to reveal his latest innovation. Behind him, a massive screen displayed his company logo. "Today," he began, "we're revolutionizing home security." I sat in the front row, smiling up at my husband, while Diana's team moved into position throughout the hotel. Jessica, disguised as hotel IT staff, had spent the morning ensuring every screen in the building was under our control. Mark launched into his presentation about protecting privacy in the digital age. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so cruel. He clicked to his first slide, unaware that his entire world was about to implode. That's when we took control. The screen behind him flickered. His presentation disappeared, replaced by something else entirely: his own control panel, showing active feeds from our house. Every hidden camera, every private stream, every subscriber payment. Mark froze mid-sentence. What you're seeing, I stood up, my voice carrying through the suddenly silent ballroom, is the real revolution in home security. My husband's private streaming empire. The room erupted in murmurs as more screens activated, showing evidence we'd gathered. Mark lunged for his laptop, but it was too late. We owned his system now. Sydney, he started, his voice cracking. I can explain. Please do, I replied, nodding to Diana, who was already walking down the center aisle with federal agents. Explain to everyone how you've been selling access to your wife's private moments. The color drained from Mark's face as his empire crumbled in real time. On every screen, his careful facade unraveled. Private messages with subscribers, payment records, viewer statistics all displayed for his peers to see. This is a misunderstanding, he stammered, looking desperately around the room. Some of his tech friends were already rushing for the exits, no doubt worried their own secrets would be next. A misunderstanding? I walked toward the stage, my heels clicking against marble. Like the misunderstanding of installing cameras in our shower? Or the misunderstanding of selling subscriptions to watch your wife sleep? The room fell deadly silent. In the back, I could see reporters frantically taking notes. This would be tomorrow's headlines, and Mark knew it. You don't understand, he tried again, reaching for me. It was for your protection. Protection? I pulled out my phone, playing one of his archived videos. His voice filled the ballroom. Premium subscribers get full access. Everything she does, everywhere she goes. It's the ultimate girlfriend experience. He lunged for my phone, but federal agents were faster. As they led him away in handcuffs, I noticed something that would have been funny under different circumstances. His tie clip, the one he'd given me as an anniversary gift, had been a camera too. Diana approached the podium, her badge visible. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to need everyone to remain in the room. This is now a federal investigation into digital trafficking and privacy violation. The next few hours were chaos. Agents interviewed attendees, seized equipment, secured servers. Several of Mark's closest business associates were also arrested. Jessica's investigation had exposed their entire network. But the real shock came when we found his private office files. Mark hadn't just been recording me. He had files on dozens of women employees, friends' wives, even some female executives he'd done business with. Each one carefully catalogued, secretly recorded, privately streamed. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Thank you for exposing him. I never knew why I didn't get that promotion. Now I do. It was just the beginning. As news broke, more victims came forward. Mark's premium content empire had stretched further than even we'd imagined. That evening, sitting in Diana's office reviewing evidence, I received one final message from Mark, sent through his lawyer. I did it because I loved you too much. I wanted to keep you close forever. I forwarded the message to Diana without responding. Some lies don't deserve answers. The media frenzy that followed was intense. Tech CEO's secret surveillance empire, digital age voyeurism, privacy violated, a wife's revenge. Every headline felt like ripping off another bandage, exposing another wound. But I wasn't just a victim in their stories. I was the woman who fought back, who turned his own technology against him. Female tech executives reached out privately, sharing similar experiences, asking for help securing their own homes and offices. Mark's preliminary hearing was a masterclass in arrogance meets justice. He sat in his prison jumpsuit, still trying to maintain control. His lawyer attempted to paint it as a misunderstanding between husband and wife, a security system gone too far. Then we played the tapes. She'll never know, Mark's voice echoed through the courtroom. Women like her don't understand technology. That's why it's so easy. He was talking to a potential client, selling access to my private moments like concert tickets. The judge's face darkened with each recording. By the time we showed the financial trails, the international server networks, the encrypted customer lists, bail was denied. But the biggest revelation came from Mark's business partner, James. Facing his own charges, he decided to talk. The operation was bigger than anyone imagined. Politicians, celebrities, corporate executives, all being secretly recorded. All being sold to the highest bidder. It was never about security, James admitted. It was about power. The thrill of watching powerful people in their private moments, knowing they had no idea. That night, alone in a hotel room swept clean of surveillance equipment, I finally let myself cry. Not for the marriage I'd lost that had died the moment I found those files, but for every woman who'd ever trusted the wrong person with her privacy. My phone lit up with a message from Jessica, ready for phase 2? Because taking down Mark wasn't enough. His customers, his enablers, his entire network needed to face justice. And I had everything we needed to destroy them all. I smiled through my tears, thinking of the evidence still waiting to be revealed. Mark thought the conference was my endgame. He had no idea it was just the beginning. Sometimes revenge isn't just about exposing one person's crimes. Sometimes it's about burning down the entire system that protected them. The morning after Mark's arrest, I woke up to 300 emails from women across the tech industry. CEOs, developers, project managers, all sharing similar stories. Their homes invaded, their privacy commodified, their careers threatened if they spoke up. Sarah Jensen, CTO of a major software company, asked to meet privately. Over coffee in a swept-clean cafe, she slid a thumb drive across the table. "I've been gathering evidence for years," she whispered. "But I never had the courage to use it." The drive contained what we needed: internal communications showing how deep the surveillance network went. It wasn't just Mark and his friends. It was venture capital firms demanding access to private feeds before funding female-led startups. Tech executives using hidden cameras to gather blackmail material. An entire underground economy built on stolen intimacy. Diana reviewed the evidence in her office, her face growing darker with each file. "This isn't just criminal," she said. "This is systematic. They've turned privacy violation into a business model." We began coordinating with women across the industry. Each had pieces of the puzzle: server locations, customer lists, payment trails. Together, we built a map of the entire operation. Jessica discovered something crucial in the code. Every recording had a digital fingerprint leading back to its source. We could trace every violation to the person who ordered it. "Want to watch them burn?" Jessica asked, her fingers hovering over her keyboard. I thought of every woman who'd been watched, recorded, violated. Light the match. We released the evidence in waves. First, the customer lists. Then, the recording locations. Finally, the money trails. Each revelation carefully timed for maximum impact. The tech industry's dark underbelly was exposed to daylight, and the screaming had only just begun. The fallout was nuclear. 3 tech CEOs resigned in one day. A prominent venture capitalist was caught trying to flee to a non-extradition country. Silicon Valley's elite were falling like dominoes, each revelation triggering another resignation, another arrest, another scandal. Mark's lawyer reached out again, offering a deal. He'd name names, reveal server locations, turn states' evidence. In exchange, he wanted a lighter sentence, and this part made me laugh: the rights to tell his story. "Tell him no," I instructed Diana. "We already have everything. And his story isn't his to sell anymore." We discovered private clubs where tech executives gathered to watch their recordings together, bidding on access to new victims. Luxury penthouses converted into viewing rooms. Private servers hidden in offshore data centers. The depravity seemed endless. Then came the threatening messages. Anonymous emails warning me to stop. Mysterious cars parked outside my hotel. Phone calls in the middle of the night. "They're scared," Jessica said, tracing the threats back to their sources. Good. We turned each threat into evidence, each attempted intimidation into another nail in their coffins. These men had spent years thinking their money and power made them untouchable. They were about to learn otherwise. Sarah Jensen organized a meeting of female tech leaders, 30 women who'd been victimized, now uniting to take control of the narrative. In a secure conference room, we shared stories, evidence, strategies. They thought we were just content for their viewers. Sarah addressed the group. "Let's show them what happens when the cameras turn around." One by one, we began taking over their companies. Board members implicated in the scandal were forced to resign. Share prices plummeted as evidence emerged. And in the power vacuum, qualified women were finally rising to positions they'd been kept from through blackmail and threats. But the most satisfying moment came from an unexpected source. A young programmer from Mark's company reached out through secure channels. She had access to what she called the trophy room, a hidden server where the network's most powerful members kept their most valuable recordings. "They made me maintain it," she explained, hands shaking as she showed us the files. "Said they'd destroy my career if I ever talked. But I kept my own records." The trophy room was worse than we imagined. Politicians caught in compromising positions, business deals made under duress, evidence of crimes beyond just privacy violations. They hadn't just been recording women, they'd been gathering leverage on anyone who might threaten their power. Diana worked through the night, coordinating with federal agencies. By morning, raids were happening across the country. Tech executives pulled from their beds, venture capitalists in handcuffs, servers seized from hidden locations. Mark, watching from his jail cell as his entire world burned, finally broke. He sent a handwritten confession, detailing everything: names, dates, locations, accomplices. His handwriting grew increasingly frantic as the pages went on, his careful facade cracking with each revelation. "I never meant for it to go this far," he wrote. "It started as a way to keep you close, then became something else. Something darker." I didn't respond. His words meant nothing anymore. Instead, I focused on working with Sarah and the other women to create new industry standards for privacy and security. Companies would now be required to undergo independent audits, with severe penalties for violations. The power dynamic was shifting. The final piece fell into place when we traced the money. Offshore accounts, cryptocurrency transactions, hidden assets, all exposed, all seized. The empire they'd built on stolen privacy crumbled under the weight of its own evidence. In the end, it wasn't just about justice. It was about transformation. The tech industry would never be the same, and neither would I. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth. It's using that truth to change the entire system. 1 year after the conference that changed everything, I stood in my new office overlooking Silicon Valley. The view is different now, not just the landscape, but the industry itself. The trials had concluded last month. Mark and 23 other executives received federal sentences ranging from 15 to 30 years. Their companies, once titans of tech, were now being rebuilt from the ground up, many under female leadership. The trophy room evidence had sparked investigations across multiple industries, exposing a web of corruption far beyond tech. Politicians resigned, CEOs stepped down, power structures crumbled. The digital age of exploitation was ending, replaced by something stronger: accountability. Sarah Jensen and I had founded the Digital Privacy Alliance, working with former victims to create new security protocols and industry standards. Our first act? Buying Mark's old building and converting it into a center for cybersecurity education and victim support. The money from seized assets, billions hidden in offshore accounts, went into a fund for victims. Women who'd been silenced for years finally had resources for therapy, legal support, career rebuilding. Their stories, once hidden behind encrypted servers, now fueled change. Jessica headed our security team, teaching women how to protect themselves in an increasingly connected world. The best defense, she'd tell them, is understanding the weapons they used against you. The most surprising outcome? The wave of innovation that followed. Women who'd been kept out of leadership positions through blackmail and threats were now revolutionizing the industry. Patents filed, startups launched, new technologies developed, all with privacy and security at their core. Last week, I received a letter from Mark's prison. Inside was a 20-page apology, talking about rehabilitation and redemption. I didn't read past the first line. Instead, I sent it to Diana for the case files, where it belonged, just another piece of evidence in a story that was no longer about him. The media still calls it the Silicon Valley surveillance scandal, but they miss the bigger picture. This wasn't just about exposing crimes, it was about dismantling the systems that enabled them. Yesterday, a young woman came to our center, clutching her laptop like I once held that thumb drive of evidence. "My boyfriend installed cameras," she said. "But I found them." I smiled, thinking of how different her story would end. Then let's make sure he regrets it. Because the best revenge isn't just exposing one person's crimes, it's ensuring they never happen again. My name is Sydney Parker, and I didn't just take down a surveillance ring. I helped build a world where privacy isn't just a right. It's a power.